it yourself. But we also didn't want to give off, we didn't want to contribute to making anyone's lives worse. So we use low VOC wherever we possibly can, which is about 99% of what we do. We also use recycled steel in all of our fixtures that is at least 70% or greater recycled content, and we know that based on how we buy the steel that we use. This is a shot of our shop floor in the Philippines. It's actually a custom fixture going together that we'll talk about a little later in the presentation, but that's just an example of some of the recycled steel that we use. We also use as many beautiful stone remnants as possible. We use petrified wood, Carrara marble, and fossil stone, both as diffusers and I guess shades on our fixtures, as well as tabletops on some of the accent items that we make. The petrified wood that we use actually comes from the ocean floor outside the Philippines. It's not a protected substance, and it's used to make urns and other decorative items. And essentially, we're buying the small scrap pieces that are left over, and then we culture them together, which is a really nice way of saying we put them in thin strips and kind of glue them together and attach them to a low VOC resin form to give it the shape of whatever it is we're trying to make. The Carrara marble that we use actually starts its life in Italy. Italian companies send it to the Philippines because they have some very talented stoneworkers there. Again, making urns, vessels, and other decorative items.
Ron, they actually get the petrified wood from the ocean floor?
Correct.
Have you ever seen that actually? Where that sounds fascinating actually to me, that there's petrified wood under the ocean.
Yeah, they're huge, former forests, millions of years ago when they were actually trees, but over time with the weight accumulated of water and soil above it, it's pressed it into stone. That's why you get a really nice effect that it's sort of an onyx, kind of a honey color, but you get a beautiful wood tone, kind of wood grain coming through the stone.
Ah, very cool.
As we mentioned earlier too, all of our glass is recycled, and it truly is recycled bottle glass. We use clear, which has a little bit of a green, kind of a Coke bottle effect, and also kind of a root beer, dark amber. There's just a beautiful warmth and richness that comes from that recycled glass because of the flaws and bubbles and the great character that it has that you just don't get from pristine glass. So we enjoy using it. One, as a way of warming up some of our more modern designs, but two, because we're actually doing something really good. And you can see there's a statistic there on how much recycled glass saves versus creating new glass.
Very cool.
This is a shot, actually, of one of our collections we'll be talking about in a second, our Fascination collection, but it's using some of that recycled glass. In this case, they're discs kind of on the bottom of the fixture. But that is actually made from melting down Coke bottles, beer bottles, whatever bottles we can get our hands on.
And that's something you actually do in the factory?
No.
Okay,
I say we collectively are, it's a vendor partner
suppliers
of ours in the Philippines.
Got it. Okay.
And now a little bit on some of our signature or best-selling collections. This is our Fascination collection. We are based in Nevada in the United States, and Nevada is rich with ghost towns and mining cabins. And a lot of those mining cabins were built with wine bottles and mud to form the walls. And having done a little hiking and camping in my day, at sunrise and sunset, you get a magnificent effect when the sun comes through those wine bottle walls. So we were playing with that design idea when we originally came up with this collection, but it's obviously a contemporary transitional grouping, and we use that thick, rich, beautiful recycled glass discs as a primary element of the collection. This is one of our largest collections. We have about 30 items. And we also make it and stock it in 3 different finish combinations. You can see an example of 2 of those here. The one on the right is what we call Nevada, Nevada being the silver state. So it's a gray base with randomly applied silver leaf. The one on the left is Colorado, which is a gold and bronze mix for the paint finish, and then that beautiful, rich root beer, dark amber recycled glass. The third version that's not shown here is kind of a wood tone brown with the same clear glass that's used on the silver version. And also, for those of you listening today, just a little bit of breaking news. We'll be adding outdoor fixtures to this collection next month.
Oh, that is interesting. I know
yeah,
outdoor fixtures are a lot more difficult to make for a variety of reasons than indoor fixtures, so I'm sure you had to jump through a few hurdles to get that done.
We definitely have. It's taken us a few years.
Okay, a few years. A lot of hurdles. I would say congratulations. I look forward to seeing it in Dallas.
Next up is Aizen. This is one of our launch collections from 6 years ago, and kind of gave ourselves an interesting design challenge at the time to mix rustic, contemporary, and Asian, which theoretically isn't doable, but I think we kind of hit the mark at the time, and it's certainly been one of our best sellers ever since. It's intersecting arcs of thick recycled steel, which is a lot of fun to manufacture. It requires true talented artisans to do that metalwork. Next up is rain. Having grown up in Georgia and Alabama, and if any of you have traveled there in the summer, thunderstorms are sort of a way of life in the afternoon as the heat builds up throughout the day. So we're just playing around with the idea of how water beads up on a window pane. We tend to be a little anal, especially on glass, because we really like designing the glass for our fixtures as well. And this is not a seedy glass, which it may look like in the photo or on your screens. It's actually a pressed glass. It's recycled glass. And then we built our own pattern and mold and then pressed that in using, I think it's a 6,000-pound press, if I remember the number right. But it requires heat and pressure to push that texture in and through the glass. So it makes a much more interesting piece, especially in person. Next up is Soho, which was originally inspired by kudzu. Again, spending some time on the East Coast in my youth. Kudzu is a vine that grows pretty wild. It's actually not native to the U.S. I think it came originally from Asia.
From Japan. Yeah.
Japan.
Well, yeah, I went to school in Georgia, and it was it grows a foot a day. Very, very dangerous weed, but you made it beautiful here.
It's almost impossible to get rid of, but if you ever spend a lot of time yanking it or pulling it out, there's a lot of beautiful, like a double tendril. It sort of grows back on itself, which adds strength to it, and that's really the kind of the effect we were going for on the arms. There's actually a lot of asymmetry in this, even though it results in a fairly balanced and symmetric design, just kind of more unique than just kind of run-of-the-mill straight line tubing. We do this entire collection two ways. We do it in the churro, which is a very organic, natural green finish. It's a rich 7-layer striated finish. And we also do it, you can see on the right, in our hammered ore finish, which is more of a brown wood tone finish that works with bronzes. We also do it with two sizes of glass. The piece on the left is about 9 inches in diameter and 12 or 13 inches tall. And the little bath fixture on the right shows the 3-inch diameter size glass. And that's all handmade Gosser or ice glass. But it is stained with a little bit of a warm brown to give it a little more organic feel as well. Shaken is another one of our original launch collections, and this is one that I often confess that started on a cocktail napkin. Was sitting at an airport playing with the idea of chain falling down in a pile. Having been up on a few ladders in my day hanging fixtures, there's nothing quite as frustrating as going to hang the chain and you drop it, have to climb back down. A couple of cocktails later, that chain kind of got a little crazier and a lot more interesting. This whole collection is built around the idea of asymmetry. In developing this collection, we actually spent a phenomenal amount of time developing the check jigs and fixtures to make it more so than the design of the fixture. We used 22 different jig points to make sure that the fixture is going to hang level and go together correctly with so much asymmetry involved in it. There also are no distributors in this collection, which people in lighting might be familiar with. People wouldn't pick up on that, and we do that in a lot of our groupings. We do a lot of interesting and kind of visual trickery to lead your eyes away from wherever wiring connections might be made. Most people wouldn't pick up on it, but it makes for a fun, neat fixture. Flair is one of our newer collections. We tried to marry modern looks with natural materials wherever we can as well. In this case, it's an organic fiber about the size of human hair. Each strand of those fibers have to be hand-laid in, and we use some amazing artisans in the Philippines to do that beautiful work. We don't stain it or dye it or do anything. That is the actual natural material. It is sealed, though, for protection, but it just has a beautiful, rich coloring, lit or unlit as well. Pinwheel is pretty pretty non-cleverly named. It really is pinwheels that attach to kind of a central ball, but it's pinwheels made of recycled aluminum. We'd like to warn everyone that some assembly is required on these fixtures, although we've minimized it in some recent design updates. But just makes for a fun, obviously a modern piece, but with a little touch of whimsy added to it. You can further soften the contemporariness of it if you use amber bulbs or some of those vintage element bulbs, and we actually have some newer photography showing that too. Naturals are a group of mini pendants that we do, and we actually do 4 different mini pendants, and they're made of either black mother of pearl, yellow mother of pearl, pearl shell, or pin shell. And these pictures may be a little hard to see. They're small, but they're really interesting patterns in small pieces of the shell, and that is intentional. Again, wherever we can, we're buying essentially scrap pieces. So we went into designing these knowing we were going to need to use small pieces, so the patterns are all built around that. And it was originally crafted for us by a jewelry maker in the Philippines who does beautiful inlay work. This collection is available either chain hung, stem hung, or aircraft cable hung as well. Another recent collection and a fun one is Urchin. When we originally showed this at our showroom in Dallas, to a fault, everyone who came in the showroom had to run over to it and grab it, and they were all surprised that it was made of steel, that it's actually heavy. They were all expecting it to be soft or rubbery.
Any injuries, Ron?
No injuries. we worked hard to make sure it's not. It's a little pokey, but the edges are not sharp.
Okay, good.
We've, it's not necessarily the best joke to tell, but just kidding around with some people, we built them that in a pinch as a pendant. It makes a good home invasion protective device.
Mm-hmm. Have it swing down and hit the intruder in the face. Got it. Good image.
We actually make and stock this in a couple of different sizes. We stock it. Uh-oh.
I hear you.
Okay, I just heard like a fax machine. Sorry. We stock it in black, white, and that kind of chrome, silvery paint that you see there. The fun, bright colors, the pinks, reds, blues, those are all actual Sherwin-Williams spec paint colors. And we show it that way just to let you know that we do custom variations. And if you can explain the finish to us or call out a paint color like a Sherwin-Williams paint color, we're happy to do that as well.
Great.
And that's a perfect lead-in to the next grouping of a couple of screens, which talk about our custom and commercial capabilities. To sort of borrow a phrase from fast food, special orders don't upset us. We actually kind of enjoy what other people think of in terms of what they need for a light fixture for a particular space. Whether it's a kind of a modification or customization of something we make, or a crazy idea that doesn't exist, or maybe your own design, we're certainly happy to do it. We're also not limited to just the the recycled glass and natural materials that we just showed you on our standard fixtures, but pretty much anything goes on the custom. We've done wood and leather Adirondack chairs, napkin rings, wall art, pretty much anything you can think of, we're happy to try and do it for you. In terms of lead times on the custom, just doing a custom finish on something we make just adds a few days. A custom variation on a stock fixture or a completely custom item takes roughly 90 to 20 days. Because we own our own factory, we can sometimes juggle that around and shorten the time if you've got a really short lead time on a project. There are other things, air freight can be involved from the Philippines, which can save a few weeks as well. But it really depends on what it is you're looking to do and the quantity and where you need it to go. Just a few examples of projects we've done: restaurants, bars, hotels, private residences, retail stores. Really interesting one in California is the 20 Lounge Nail Salon. It's a sort of hybrid nightclub / nail salon, which was a fun project to work on. In the next few weeks, there'll be a varaluzcommercial.com site, which will have project examples on there too, if you ever are looking for ideas. This is a piece we did for Shanahans, and this is the piece you saw earlier in the presentation, going together in the factory in our shop in the Philippines. This is actually the customer's design. They brought it to us. The openness was intentional. To see the bulbs, we kind of suggested maybe not doing that originally, but it was their design. That's what they wanted, so they were happy with the final result.
So they had the circular cove, and they designed the fixture around the cove. Right? Is that what I'm looking at? It's a cove in the ceiling that looks to be about, I don't know, 20 feet in diameter. How wide is that piece?
The piece, I think, was 8 feet.
So
it's about a 16-foot cove.
Pretty cool.
It's a big one. We did, I think, 5 total for the private dining rooms. You can imagine the private dining rooms are not small. We also did some work for the bar area, including some of the metal work for the bar. That name seems familiar. That's actually Mike Shanahan. That's actually in Denver. They did the first restaurant last year with intentions of doing more, but then Mike was recruited back to coaching full time. So those expansion plans have been on hold until he retires again. This is a piece we've been developing for ChickfilA, and we're hopefully in the final rounds of confirming it. This was a really interesting design assignment too. They had a 3-story atrium area in their new campus headquarters. I believe it's in Atlanta. And these are actually 4-foot panels. We proposed shell and some other natural materials, and I think we're finally about done with the design on that one. We did some chrome rod and some really nice silk shade table lamps for Gaylord hotels and resorts. Some semi-flushes for a California condo complex recently. Just a few examples of some of the things we're capable of doing. And that's what we have prepared to talk about at this point. If there are any other questions?
There was a question that came through, and I don't know if you have any further images, but somebody asked for an image of the nail salon / nightclub.
We do. I don't know if I have them where I can pull them up quickly. I can email them, though.
Okay. Or possibly we'll be able to post it, in a follow-up email to the attendees. And I think I speak for everyone who listened in today. I mean, I found the fixtures fascinating. I'd love to see some more of the application shots. So that was great. So there's basically nothing you guys can't do.
That's kind of the approach we take, and if there is something we can't do, we let you know right away.
Well, I appreciate that. It sounds like a fun place to work. I am anything else to talk about, Ron? If again, I'll send a follow-up email with your email address on it, and if anybody has some direct questions for Ron or for me, please feel free to email it back to us. If there's something that you missed or you came in late, I am going to be putting this webinar up on our website, so you'll be able to view it at your leisure. And anything else, Ron?
Nope. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.
I appreciate it. Capital Lighting and 1-800-Lighting.com will be continuing to bring you at least once a month, hopefully twice a month, content that you guys have been asking for to educate and inform and hopefully entertain a little bit and help us all do our jobs a little bit more effectively. Have a great weekend, everybody. If you happen to be in the West Palm Beach area tomorrow night, we are manning a booth for our Making Lives Brighter campaign, which is with Vanilla Ice, and he's having a concert there, and it's a campaign where if you donate a fixture at a Capital Lighting store, you'll get a 10% discount on anything new. You'll get a tax deduction for the fixture you donate, and anything you donate is going to be given to Habitat for Humanity to be used by either one of their homeowners or to put into their restore. So it's a great cause, and it's going to be a fun time tomorrow night at Clematis Street in West Palm Beach. So, Ron, you have a free invitation. If you're going to be flying out, let me know. I'll pick you up.
I'd love to. I'll actually be down your way in a couple weeks, though.
The party's not going to last that long, but let me know when you're in town. We'd love to see you here. And that's it for me. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Get back to work, and have a great weekend. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, Eric. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.